Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to the Designing Inclusive Syllabi workshop. My name is Sarita Shukla, and I use the she, her pronouns. Before we get started with the session, an invitation for you all to share the name that you'd want to be used in the session, along with the gender pronouns that you use, so that we all can be sure to address you that way. So if you'd find the tiny box, so the box that has either your image or your moving image, and then just hover your mouse over it. And if you find the three dots on the top right-hand side, the last option down is to rename yourself. And if you use that, you can then enter the name that you'd want folks to use during the session, along with the gender pronouns. Okay, so we'll take a minute, making sure that everybody can do that. Okay. Any challenges that you might be, just want to make sure that you all can do that. Okay, all right. So the other part that I just wanted to start with is the option to turn the live transcription on. So if you hover your mouse to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see the option that says CC. And if you click on that, then the second option down is to see the full live transcript. So if you click on that, then you can see the live transcript as we are going through the session. Okay. So I'll provide the overview to the session, and then my colleague Jason here will talk about this 3-series workshop specifically. The Equity Across the Curriculum initiative brings together a group of faculty and staff from across UW Bothell to organize professional development for all interested in deepening their practice of liberatory pedagogies. While the EAC aims to build liberatory practice across campus, we recognize that faculty and staff have uneven exposure and knowledge of these pedagogies, and we welcome all attendees who have a genuine interest in building more inclusive instructional practices, regardless of previous experience. The EAC worked last year to develop and plan workshops and events scheduled throughout the 2021-2022 academic year, focusing on 3 main topical areas: supporting trans and non-binary students, navigating difficult conversations, and this series, Designing Inclusive Syllabi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Morse. I teach at UW Bothell in the first year program and IAS, and I worked with Sarita and Natasha and others in this sort of subgroup of the EAC, Designing Inclusive Syllabi. We took last year to plan this as a series of 3 peer-facilitated workshops. And we wanted to focus on thinking about ways of designing syllabi that are inclusive of learners with wide variety of learning styles and abilities, social positions and identities, and also comfort levels in the university. And we also felt it was really important to think about how to use student-focused, inviting and supportive language in the syllabus rather than more authoritarian and punitive language. So this is the first introductory session focused on reflecting just like sort of about what an inclusive syllabus might be. And the second will be held in early winter of 2022. And we'll obviously build off this one to think more concretely about your own syllabus. And then the third session we have planned is a peer review of syllabi that we'll work on during winter quarter, and that'll be at the end of winter quarter because we wanted to, our sort of hope was that faculty and staff could workshop a syllabus that they plan to teach during the spring. I mean, also if that's not what you want to do, that's fine. We can, the spring or after, I guess. So do be on the lookout for emails with the resources for the next meetings. One more logistical thing is that there's a modest stipend for attending all 3 sessions. And if you're on your phone in a Zoom session, we can't see your name when we download the list of people who are here. So if you are on your phone, because it's just your phone number, if you are on your phone, just please email one of us, Natasha, Sarita, or I. Our emails are on the invitations with your name, so we can make sure to check that off. Today's workshop will be facilitated by Reed Garber Pearson, Integrated Social Sciences and Online Learning Librarian at UW Seattle, and Dr. Wei Zhuo, an instructional consultant with the Center for Teaching and Learning, also at UW Seattle. This workshop will be engaging and interactive, so we'd strongly encourage you to participate and make the most out of it for yourself. And so now I'll turn it over to our facilitators.
Hi, thank you, Jason and Sarita, and also Natasha. Yeah, so my name is Reed. I use they, them pronouns. And as Jason said, I'm the online learning librarian, and I work with the Integrated Social Sciences program, which is an online degree completion program through the UW Seattle campus. And I got brought into this workshop through a workshop that I have been doing for several years through the Center for Teaching and Learning, which is how I connected with Wei. And I've done these participatory design workshops with online students that have all these active learning, designed active learning activities within them. So that's how I got brought into this workshop. And I'm excited to hear the conversation that comes out of it. And so, Wei.
Hi, everyone. I'm the co-facilitator from UW Seattle Campus Center for Teaching and Learning, but I have been invited by UW Basel IAS for giving several workshops, and I already see several familiar faces that I worked before. So it's really exciting that we're gonna kick it off of the first among 3 series. And Reed, I know you want to share the goal of the workshop today.
Yeah, so I'm posting again in chat, just for those of you who just got here. I know we've been reposting this, the Google Doc link. That's a shared Google Doc that we're all using today, which has our session goals in it and the activities in it. So please click on that link if you haven't yet.
We have about 18 people there, and we have 29 here. So I know there are 11 are on the way. If you have difficulty access to that, you can privately message me or Reed, and we will help you troubleshoot.
Yeah, thanks, Wei. So our session goals for today are that, as Jason mentioned, this is going to be pretty interactive. We have we have one activity that's solo, that I'll be guiding, and we also have some small group activities and some solo reflection. So through these facilitated conversations, we're hoping to reflect on your current practices on building your syllabi, and to share strategies for building an inclusive syllabus. And then we're also hoping that we will be able to learn from each other's experiences through these pair and group activities, so that there will be a lot of time for you all to reflect and share with one another.
We really hope you can keep your video on if it's possible with your internet bandwidth, so we can see each other's faces, see each other's reaction, the nodding, the confusing face, and we can adjust accordingly. Feel free to use the gallery view so you can see the whole picture. The gallery view is in the top right corner. And if you have questions about what we're doing, where we are, where's the link, feel free to put it in chat, and we'll move back and forth between the Google document and the Zoom screen. So before we get started, I want to facilitate an activity to set the community agreement for our workshop today. So instead of we tell, this is the things we would like you to do, we would like to hear from you. What community agreement would you like to set for our session today? So please take any of those bullet points and input. What are some community agreement? What behaviors you want to see? What atmosphere you would like to set? what norms will help you feel encouraged to participate in a session like this. There'll be a free writing activity for 2 minutes. Thank you for your input. Thanks for those great ideas. If you finish inputting your own, please feel free to read what your peers have been writing and add the +1 if you agree to what they have. Thank you for the input. We see a lot of +1s. So in this workshop, Reid and I will try our best to incorporate those community agreements, and we encourage everyone to bear those in mind as well. For example, being active listener, to share. And yeah, well, in this workshop, feel free to take break at your own pace. Given the time we have, an hour and a half, will not have official break time. But you can feel free to take a break during your own time, and perfectly fine if we don't know the answer, but for the discussion, feel free to use chat. Yeah, so that's great ideas. Thank you everybody very much for inputting in the community agreement. And it's very important for us to move forward with those community agreements in mind. With that said, we will move on to the page 4, the reflection activity, think, pair, share, and Reid will facilitate this part for you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'm still just reading through all of these really great agreements that you've put in here. And that's the failure of these like 1.5 hour workshops and times together when we can't really unpack everything as fully as we'd like to. And so I know it feels brief. It feels brief for me to not go through these more fully. So I'm grateful that Wei suggested we do this activity though, because there's so many good suggestions in here. So our reflection activity, we're going to take some time, just a few minutes on our own to do some reflection, and then we'll do these small pair reflections within them. So these are some questions that that we've all thought about together, the facilitators and the workshop organizers, about what we would like for you all to think about in terms of your syllabus. So I'm just going to read them so that we can all have a framework together in thinking about these. And then while I'm reading them, feel free to start your reflection. And then after I'm done, we'll start our solo reflection on them. So what does it mean for me to use equity as a lens through which to make my course design, teaching, and assessment choices? How might my syllabus start to build rapport and community within each class? And what policies do I have for addressing tensions in the classroom? How can I be transparent in my syllabus about my objectives, assessments, expectations, and materials? How can the language of my syllabus, including course policies, descriptions, learning goals, objectives, assessments, explanations, and other expectations, be more student-focused and supportive rather than authoritarian and/or punitive? So I would encourage you, because this is a short time frame to be doing reflection, to choose like one of these to start reflecting on. And if you get to more than one in this time frame, then that's great. But if you don't get to all of them, like to think about them later, since this will be a trio of time together that you can be reflecting on the syllabus. So are there any questions or before we go into some solo reflection? Okay, so feel free to take some notes for yourself or do some thinking on your own, and then I'll bring us all back in about 3 minutes, perhaps a few more, since 3 is very short, and then we can go from there and do some pairs.
And feel free to turn off the camera if you feel more comfortable while you're doing the reflection.
Okay, it's been about 3 minutes, and I know that's very short. Wei was reminding me that we're a little bit behind time already. So if you want to just finish up your last few moments of reflection, and then Wei is going to open breakout rooms for you to be put into in pairs to do the same reflection, and then we'll come back as a larger group.
Yeah, I will be sending people into pairs. Bear in mind, we'll have different expertise, different roles, and remind of the community roles. Yeah. We will have you stay in the breakout room for about 8 minutes. Okay, now it's open. Sharon, do you see an invitation for the breakout room for you? And Natasha, do you want me to send you to breakout room, or you can move to, right? You can move to the
Yeah, I
breakout
can
room
move.
self.
Sharon, if you're not able to move to the breakout room, I can join Sarita.
Natasha,
Yeah.
I just didn't think for a think pair share that I should be in a breakout room with a faculty member. I think there's too much of a power dynamic there for this exercise to be useful for the faculty member. So I prefer to stay out of those if that's okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
And for context, Sharon is our Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs.
Thanks.
Hey,
My-
Sarita.
Hi, my partner was not there in the room, so I came. again.
Your partner's out here.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe
Yeah, just
Natasha,
quick check-in, you two okay? Yeah, okay. Sarita, you wanna, I'll join you in the room if you wanna go back.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure out how to get back into my room.
let me see.
Oh, no, I think I can join now. Okay. So it's not like how it works for students, since I'm a facilitator here as well. I think that's
Room 10. Yeah, I'm sending. Okay, Sarita, do you want to go back to the room 10 too? That's great. Okay. And Laura and Milagros?
Yeah, sorry, I joined later. I was, sorry, my mistake.
Don't worry, don't worry.
I just want to know what they are doing in the room since I'm late to the meeting.
Okay, yeah, I will fill you in. So first of all, we have a Google document that we are using. So let me put the link here to see. Do you have the access to the Google document yet or no?
I'm just seeing it. Yes, I
Let
do.
me put in
I just put
chat.
the link. I just put the link in chat.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, it's the Google document. You can click on that we just put. And then we are in the activity of page 4, a think, pair, share activity, reflecting on the 4 questions. And you can choose any one to reflect on. So page 4, the think, pair, share, we did the think part on the our own. Now we're doing the pair part. And before we get deeper, I want to also, Laura, can you let us know where you are and your current status right now? Oh, Laura is not assigned. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah. Should we
Hello.
assign you to a room? Are you just here too?
Sure,
or-
yes, that would be great. I
That's
had
great.
some connectivity issues, so I signed in with my phone. Sorry, I'm late.
Okay. Do you have the connection to the Google document? Did you see the chat Google document?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. What I see actually right now, let me see. Any of the room I assign you will be people already have the discussion. Do you want that, or do you want to use the main room, 2 of you to discuss?
Either way is fine.
Okay, so I will move you to a group that's already started. Maybe you can introduce themselves. Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I prefer to stay here until people come back and try to catch up.
Okay. People will be back in another 5 minutes.
Okay, so that gives
Okay.
me a chance to settle down and I can read what you have in the Google Doc.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. And sorry for being late.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Thank you for managing that way.
Hi, Marta. The breakout room will come back in, say, 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll just hang here. Sorry to be late and flaky.
Don't worry. Do you have the access to the Google document we are using?
No, because it wasn't
Okay.
visible before.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Thank
I
you.
will send you the chat for you. Yeah, it will be helpful. You can use the 2 minute at least to read. We're in the page 4 right now.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much.
Of course. welcome back. We have 15 more seconds for everybody to come back from their breakout room. Hopefully all the pairs are ready to at least share one highlight of your pair discussion. Thank you and welcome back everyone. We just did a think pair. Now this is the third part of the share. Please share one highlight of the discussion in your pair of anything that you addressed to those 4 questions in our page 4 Google document. How this get going, I think I will just call somebody's name and you and your pair feel free to choose a spokesperson to share briefly. And after you finish your round, you call somebody else who is not you and your partner. So we will go that going. Okay, I saw the smiley face of Shannon. So Shannon, I think I'll get you started. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I was partnered with Liz and we just had a great conversation. I found it very helpful to just share ideas about some of the challenges of creating a syllabus that communicates a welcoming environment, not a punitive approach, and really trying to communicate that. And we discussed how really small things seem to really matter in that regard. And also how much detail to include in the syllabus and sort of the pros and cons of having a lot of detail that can potentially overwhelm students with having enough. And Liz, what else do you want to add to that?
I think you covered our highlights very well. Yeah, we were talking about sort of what we've learned from our very different disciplines, but there's so much overlap in terms of just the document of the syllabus and the expectations that especially first generation students might bring to that in terms of balancing, the weightiness of it. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Nice to see a lot of nodding, so people knowing what you're saying, how much is enough, right? It's never a perfect answer. It's great sharing, and I think at least you know what your pair are going to do next.
Yeah, so Camille?
Yes, I was paired with Mark, and I think either one of us can speak to it, but I'll mention something, Mark, if you want to add anything else. We had a good conversation. He was writing about the prompt on transparency, and I was writing about the prompt on avoiding punitiveness. And we also, and in some ways we had both kind of overlapped a little bit, because part of my challenge was thinking about how to communicate as clearly as possible that I don't have any late penalties, and that I've really grown toward that strongly during the pandemic and kept it going now, but that my experience has been that perhaps because we have such a culture of schooling writ large that tells students there will be punishment, that the communication of that, how to make that clear and transparent and constant, can be tricky to know how much to do and how far to go. Yeah. Mark, did you want to add anything?
Really, I mean, it basically mirrors what Shannon and Liz were just talking about too. It's just how much do you actually put into the syllabus, where too much is just like information overload possibly, right? But you need to throw things in because your syllabus may be different than what they're used to, like what Camille was saying. It's just that at least through American schooling, your whole life is basically grades, 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 and you must meet deadlines and everything. So like if you flip the script and be treat them as humans and care about their learning, is just something that I think a lot of students aren't really used to, and so then they just assume it's not going to be in your syllabus, and so they just skim your syllabus, so like what can you do there?
I guess we can call on Dave.
I met with you and we had a great conversation. I'm from the sciences, used from education, and I was really struck. Well, first, I guess I should say, I wasn't looking at this so much from the syllabus point of view as just more fundamentally what to do in the course. And my specific problem is what I see as a tension between the field experience that I'm trying to offer in a field ecology course, and ableism and equity, and how to resolve that. And we didn't come to any answers, but I was really struck by how similar issues are in education with field sites for students who have to get there and do their field education. So do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I think, Dave mentioned a shared issue that we are experiencing, especially during COVID, and how we can be more responsive to students who are, for example, have other life responsibilities or other challenges in life that we're not necessarily responsive in designing the curriculum, designing the learning experiences for them, which is challenging because we do have things that we need to do in our classes versus, there are things they won't be able to complete. So there's this dilemma that we were just struggle to figure out a quick solution for. But I think this is why we're here, to learn, wisdoms from each other.
Great. Thanks, Dave. And can you say your name?
Yue.
Yue. That's it. Yeah, thanks, Yue and Dave.
Thank you.
For the third pair. Yeah, we know this game can keep going because there are a lot of sharing. But you see how just getting people ready and provide space and time to discussion can spike great ideas, a lot of similarity, brainstorm together. It's really very, very powerful for people to share with each other. A sad thing is not everyone really read syllabus that carefully. So while we're debating and thinking and have our hair losing, think about how much information to put there, bear in mind, not everybody will read them. So it's always important in class time, maybe class 1 time, to go over them. I know some instructors use activity. So every group gets some prompt and you read through, do a scavenger hunt to find the answers and present to your peers. I know some instructors in their Canvas side do a quiz that they get a point by finding the answers in the syllabus. How many major assignments? When is the deadline? What's the goal of this class? So I know those are different ways. And I think there's sometimes we might overlook, don't talk about what this class is about. What's the goals of the class? And that's important to just say in the beginning because students might need to know what is the goal, what is the course about, what expectations. So I think I want to, just from personal experience and from what I have heard, it's important of a written syllabus, but it's also important how to deliver them and communicate with students through the time in class, through activities and interactions. So that's really great think, pair, share that we just did for getting started. Think about the classroom syllabus building and the language and how to deliver them. And then we're gonna move to page 5 to have a breakout room discussion of group of 4 or 5 people. Can you imagine how many ideas can there be? I think it will be exciting and fun. So page 5, this activity, you will get into a group of 4 or 5. I would love you to spend 1 minute to decide what roles you would like to take. As you find as instructors, will be helpful if we give role choices and everybody can contribute differently. We want you to spend 3 minutes to skim through the link, UW Syllabus guidelines that I know the community already put a link out there, but I want to give you some time still to skim through and revisit, find what something speak to you today. And then we'll have 12 minutes in your group of 4 or 5 to speak to 2 questions. What are takeaways or components that speak to you in the UW Syllabus guidelines? What are some remaining questions on those components you still have? So you will be staying in your breakout room for 16 minutes of deciding roles, read through the material 1 more time, and the majority of the time discussion. Before we move into breakout room, what are the questions we have? If we're clear, please show your hand, smiley face, nodding, says you're. That's great. This group is so easy to work with. Thank you. So now I'm going to send you to a new breakout room, meeting more people. Here we go.
It looks like there are only 2 people in room 6.
Right now.
Now there's 4.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
Hi, I think.
okay.
Hi, I'm sorry. I think
I'll go join. Oh,
room
sorry.
6. Yeah, Laura. Yeah, we're here. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I
we can
don't
hear
know
you.
what's going on. For whatever reason, I'm not able to join the audio and the video at the same time. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, let me
The-
see. Like, if I put you into breakout room, do you see an option for you to?
No, I don't. Only connected through audio. It won't allow me to connect through. This is such a. Oh, this is so frustrating. It wasn't working on my
Yeah.
phone.
And you don't have access to maybe a laptop or anything else right now, right?
It was. Yeah, it wasn't working. Can you send me what is the 9-digit meeting ID? I'm trying to join again.
Okay, let me check on that. And Reed, if you find that quicker than me, feel free to share. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I have it now. I think it's 9453-633-2916.
16. Okay.
945. Yeah.
3633-2916.
Yes. Try that.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and join. Okay. It says waiting for the host to start the meeting. And I've got to. Yeah, it's not letting me in. Shoot.
Okay, let's try one more time.
Oh.
Reed, can you confirm the digit link? It's correct because we're in the meeting right now.
945-33-2916. And I'm getting a thing saying waiting for host to start meeting.
Okay, so
which
let
I know
me. Yeah. Let me check one more. Don't worry. They're still in the stage of recognizing who is doing what, so you're not missing that much. Yeah, I'm very quickly looking for the. Yeah, I'm sorry, the technology.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
I don't
very,
know what's
very
going
tricky.
on. Sign out and try signing back in. I was able to.
Yeah, it must be the code.
Yeah.
Let me just define.
I'm just here through audio, but I don't know if you can manually send me to a breakout room, because earlier they could see me, but they couldn't hear me.
I manually signed. I think the thing is when I sign into any room, there's nothing show up for you to be going in. Oh
wait, I was just able to assign Laura into 6.
That's great because I did that, but for some reason it did not show up. Okay, and Emily, can we help you? Okay. And Sharon, you chose to stay here because of the same reason before, right?
Thank you so much, both of you, for doing this. This is just terrific. It's and it's our first year trying to do this. I guess it's faculty-driven development as opposed to this way. And I'm here to just show moral support for the facilitators because they've spent so much time thinking through this, and it's a very different model for us.
Yeah.
So given my role with evaluations, faculty evaluations, I just think that it will cause issues.
I think so. I think it makes sense for you to stay here to, like the power dynamic you mentioned that. And also, as they have the discussion room going on, because we asked people to take note. So hopefully, yeah, those notes will be going on. I will send a reminder to them. And also during the share out, then you can get to hear what are some themes that people pull out. Yeah,
Exactly.
I think
Like
it sounds like a plan.
in the last one, you know, it was clear that we really don't have a repository for materials. And so, you know, hearing those types of themes are really important in terms of what can we do from an infrastructure perspective. But I shouldn't be in conversations where people are talking about their own issues, I think. Though I could probably benefit because I have syllabi as well, but that's okay. That's for another day.
I think that sounds like a plan. Yeah, sounds like a plan. We're perfectly fine. We're so happy you're here to, you know, participate, observe, and listen.
Thank you so much to both of you.
Emily, let us know if you need help with anything. We're here to help you.
And Wei, we're not really unpacking this as a large group after this, right? We're just moving into the build your own vehicle activity. Is that correct?
We would have a quick share out because it will not be that helpful if they do not share that out. So I'm looking at the time. Yeah, so at around in 10 minutes, people are gonna come back. So let's see, given that we have the workshop till 11:30, I think we can still have like say 5 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, that's great. Maybe we can offer people who haven't spoken up yet.
And maybe when people bring back, then you can facilitate that part of share out.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I like it. Because the building your own vehicle is 15 to 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So I think if we start the activity by say 11:10, the latest, we can have until 25 for this activity, building your vehicle. We still have 5 minutes to wrap up.
Okay. Yeah, and it would be nice to have people quickly share out after the build your own vehicle activity, a couple people to share out anything that they've observed or learned from it.
Okay, so let's try to move into that activity around 11:05 to 11:10, something in between. Do you think that would be fair then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I will just remind people to take notes and remind them the time and bring them back around 10:59, and then you will be in charge of, you know, sharing out for say 5 minutes before we move into the next activity.
Great.
Hey, Emily, there, I saw your message. Yeah, you had the students came to your office, and we have 5 minutes before we gather together as a whole group. Would you like me to send you to a breakout room to participate, to observe, or do you want to wait for the share out in 5 minutes? What do you prefer?
How about I do just wait for the share out since I
Sure, whatever
missed
works
a little
for
bit.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Emily and Sharon, while waiting for the group to come back in 3 minutes, I noticed the notes are get going from page 6 to page 11. Different groups are starting to take notes. Feel free to visit them while waiting for everybody to come back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. So I was just reading through the group notes as Wei and I were in this main room here, and there's like lots of great questions here about inclusivity and student identity and capturing student experiences and information overload. So I would just love to take a few moments for each group to share out like a really brief overview of your conversation. We really only have about 5 minutes for this. So maybe if each group could take like a minute or less to share out one question or one takeaway that you have from this activity. So if we could start with somebody from group 1.
Hi, everybody. I will try to be brief. So within our group, there were 3 of us. So Rebecca and Salwa and I discussed, or we focused primarily on the UW, the syllabus guidelines as being really important and important policies and things that we want students to read. That said, we were thinking about the ways in which it could be perceived as sort of checklisty, that we could, if we just include that, all of those policies on our document, that can be done in sort of a very authoritative way. And just like, this is, traditional sort of syllabus, it's a contract with students, and here's all the things that you have to do. Or it can be done in including it in a way that could be potentially more inclusive, which is, I think, is the goal of our thinking today. So I think that we discussed sort of the importance of including it, but finding ways to do so, perhaps just providing a link to those things, and then giving space within the document itself to provide some more humanistic language and connect with students around what those policies mean and why they're important. So I think that was sort of the focus of our conversation. I don't know, am I missing anything? It's hard to do it in 1 minute. So, okay, thanks, folks. So I'll pass it on to group 2.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Hi, so we had a conversation about some of the couple of things. One was the experience of international students and how a lot of times the needs of international students can be they're invisible to us until, maybe later in the quarter or something like that. And so ways in which we can get that information up front in order to accommodate those students. And then also there was some surprise in our group about the language around academic integrity in that section. And just, it seemed like kind of harsh, punitive language. And so there was a question of whether or not that was like the university needing to use that language just to kind of convey the seriousness of it, because it could have, big consequences for students, or I don't, but we were just wondering how, new faculty might see that and think that that's how they need to, the language they need to use or something. And we were a little surprised by that. So on to group 3.
Thanks. So our group, and I keep losing it on the Google Doc. We started, some of the things we were sort of talking about before we started formally talking about the syllabus guidelines were related, because we talked about things like absences, late work, and how to structure the syllabus and the quarter to avoid requiring students to kind of perform their trauma and constantly sort of request things and give faculty like their personal lives in order to justify something when they should get it. And in relation, we talked a little bit about this idea of grading on in-class participation activities that are sort of structured activities versus grading on obviously attendance, which we're not allowed to do, but how do we sort of incentivize some of that in-class activity and also drop a certain number of assignments or in-class activities in order to allow for like those life things that we were just talking about that come up. And then we talked about the language of expectations in the syllabus guidelines being a little more punitive and focused on grades and focused on a certain kind of contract language as opposed to language around goals of the course that are a little more collaborative, and whether there are other ways to assess participation and other ways to engage expectation. that isn't so punitive.
Group number 4, which I was part of, we had basically 3 things come out. One is that our syllabi are getting longer and longer. And it's really unclear to us whether they're actually serving the purpose that they need to serve. It's hard to know how well students read them. It's hard to know if they remember, if they do read them at the beginning. In STEM, we have this lovely link to all the stuff that is in this one doc offsite that is all the consistent across the courses, but do students ever go and read that stuff? Just don't know. And also just the communication channel between the faculty and the student is complicated. We don't know if they read the announcements that we send them. It's unclear if they read email sometimes. Students sometimes have Discord channels going on there. It's just a mess. That's our summary.
I'll jump in for room 5. I think our main takeaway after we looked at the university guidelines was just how punitive and alienating they were. It was really like disciplinary. There was appreciation for the attendance policy that we can't grade on attendance. Just being mindful that, like differing access and needs. And I think that we also noted that the section on inclusivity was very short and not detailed. We talked about how much faculty kind of go over the syllabus, maybe on the first day, and like the balance between, reading these policies that with the language that might be really alienating. I wanted to just give a spotlight or like a shout out to the UW digital learning online 101 class, because this activity was really, really helpful, which is to have students annotate the syllabus by putting it in Google Docs and then having them like respond and say, like, these are the 2 things I'm really excited about. These are the 2 things I'm really worried about. These are the 2 things I have questions about. And for me, that like changed like the whole way I felt like students engaged in my classes in the syllabus. It felt like more like a conversation. And then I could really signal like, what they were interested in or curious about or anxious about and address them in class. And Tony, if I missed anything, please jump in.
So from group 6, we had a couple of points that were a bit of a surprise or concern. One was masks. Are we the mask police? And at what point was that added into the syllabuses? Other groups apparently have been talking about participation and the ambiguity between attendance as a behavior, but then participation as similarly as a behavior of sorts as well. And then a couple places where the syllabus guidelines seem very, very limiting. One around disability. Oftentimes people have chosen not to go to DRS to publicly go through that medical system and how limiting that may be, or they may not have as much access to it. And so that to require that seems a bit limiting. Similarly, with the religious holidays, you have to do it within 2 weeks and put specific dates on that, and that is a huge challenge in many particular cases. So this in particular seems not being very inclusive of religious beliefs at all. So that's what group 6 talked about.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for sharing out about what your groups talked about. The main takeaway that I'm getting from all of this is that the UW guidelines around syllabi leave a lot to be desired in terms of being inclusive and representative of student needs, and are punitive in nature. So it leaves like so much room for the next 2 workshops to begin to like modify your syllabi and work out what actually makes sense for your classrooms. So I'm really glad that there are 2 more workshops for you all to do that together. With that being said, we only have 20 more minutes to this, and we have a fairly large activity that we had, which is going to just get cut short quite a bit. So I just wanted to move us into that, and it's on page 12. And this is, I was going to give a demo on how to do this, but because of time constraints, I think I'm not going to do a demo and just sort of walk you through this exercise. And so this will be done with me facilitating prompts, but what would be helpful for you with this is to either use this online tool, autodraw.com, which is under the description of this activity, and it's a free online drawing tool, or you can just get a paper and pen and do it next to you, which could be easier since I'm not demoing this tool for you right now. But either way works. So this is a participatory design activity, which I've used with students and with faculty, and it helps us to like pull apart what the relationships are between different elements of something. So in this case, we're talking about your syllabus. And so we're using it, we're drawing a vehicle of it to represent what the syllabus is and to pull apart what it means. So it like just helps to pick out what's important to us and how we can understand relationships differently. I've done this with students to think about what a library means. And I've also done this with faculty to think about online learning and online classrooms. So hopefully this will help us to understand something different about syllabi. So as I said, I'm going to ask you to start by drawing an image of a car or a bicycle or kind of whatever vehicle resonates with you. And then I'll be reading prompts. And if you miss a prompt, don't worry about it. You can just keep drawing. You can label your drawing. And normally we would go through and share out what we've learned from them. And I don't think we're going to have time for that today, but perhaps in future workshops together, you can return to these to help untangle what you've learned from doing this. So are there any questions about that so far? If they're not, we are going to just jump right into this. And I'm not seeing any questions so far. So I'm just going to ask you to start by drawing that vehicle that resonates with you. So this is a vehicle that can represent your syllabus. Again, it could be a car or a spaceship or submarine. You don't have to think too hard about what it is, just draw something. And as you're drawing that vehicle, think about who's steering the vehicle or leading it. Is it one driver, or is it automatic? Is it automated? Who's in the driver's seat, or is there even a driver's seat? And if drawing doesn't come naturally to you, you can label things or write it out. And you can think about, how is the driver navigating if there's a driver? Do they know where they're going? Are they on a road or a certain pathway? Yeah, so I see a question. Are we considering this as the vehicle or as our syllabus? So the vehicle is your syllabus. And also you can think about if there's a navigator or a driver or multiple of them, are they thinking anything specific? What are they doing anything else besides navigating this vehicle? And then thinking about who else or what else is in the vehicle? Are there passengers or other kinds of cargo that are not living beings in there? What else is in the vehicle? What is the vehicle moving? And then in your vehicle, what keeps it running? Is there a motor, or how does it run? And is it running as it's designed to run, or is it working as it's meant to? Does your vehicle have fuel? Who or what is the fuel? And how much fuel is there? Like, is it on full or is it running empty? And as you're mapping out the fuel and how it runs, you can think about what the road is like that it's on. Is it bumpy or smooth? Is it on an uphill climb or an easy street or pathway? Are there obstacles or crossroads that the vehicle is entangled with? And then within the vehicle, how do you see out, or how do you see clearly from it? Is there a windshield or windows in it? Are there headlights or windshield wipers? What helps people inside to see out? And then is the vehicle in motion or is it stopped? What is it doing right now? And then the last prompt of what kind of environment is it in? And we'll just take a minute or two for you all to wrap up those drawings. All right, so I feel like this is definitely rushing this activity some, but because we have to wrap up pretty soon, I'm going to bring you all back. And if you haven't finished your vehicle yet, that's totally fine. But I'm wondering with the last like 3 minutes that we have towards this activity, if we have like 2 people who might want to share, you can either like hold up your picture and show us, or you can just verbally tell us anything that you've learned about what the relationship between like students and faculty might be in your syllabus, or any insights that you might have from this activity. I also think it would be very fun to see some of the drawings. Anybody willing to share?
I'll share. This is Anushka. I will even share my funny picture here of this is my syllabus car. It's definitely in need of a tune-up. I'm driving the syllabus, but all the students, I feel like they're all in their little mini cars following around, and we're all veering in different directions. I think one thing that insight I had was that it's the syllabus plus it's constant communication throughout the quarter, like through Discord servers and email, and that the syllabus alone isn't the one time we're going to talk about these. So I feel like it's sort of like an opening onto this road we're traveling on together.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I like the image of the students kind of rolling around in their own little cars behind and around it. Do we have anybody else who would be interested in sharing?
I can go next. I don't mind. I think, Anushka, your drawing was better than mine, but that's okay. I'm going to hold mine up if people can see it. Can people see it? So I'm sorry, I didn't get all the prompts because I'm actually multitasking this morning because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to attend here. So I had things going on in the background. But for me, I use the vehicle that I use to get to school as much as I'd like to be biking or something like that. So I don't show a specific person driving the car. The way I have it is I'm the navigation potentially, or the instructor is the navigator, but it's student driven. So I hope to keep that as a student centered driven thing, but I'm there to navigate and help facilitate learning that can happen in the classroom. it is not necessarily a smooth road. And so I've got a speed bump there, and those bumps can be different things, whether it be the pandemic, whether it be changes along the way, whether they be individual at the student level or at the instructor level, or combined conditions that are coming in. And I think the fuel that came to my mind was the classroom environment, and what the ideas and the brainstorming and hopefully the energy that can be developed in a classroom to drive, to allow the vehicle to be driven. I guess that's it.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. And we probably have time. Actually, we don't have time for one more. It seems like we only have 3 more minutes. So Wade, do you have any final comments on that?
Yeah, thanks, Brady, for leading this activity for us to experience and to approach syllabus design differently than what we have been doing. We know it's not enough, but that's why you have 2 more to come, and also you have a team to share different ideas. So in the last 3 minutes, we would really love to know how we are doing, and we would like to get feedback from you of this workshop. So what are your takeaway? What are things you have been learning, and what are some suggestions you have? So if you go to page 14, the last page of this document, and we have a Google link for anonymous survey. We want to know, what is the biggest takeaway from this session? What is one remaining questions you have for the session? And how do you plan to apply things you learned from today into your syllabus design in your teaching? So we would really appreciate you take time to give us the feedback. Also, on top of that, I put a link for our CTL website, have some guidance on syllabus design, course design. We have in CTL website, you have inclusive teaching, because we talk about inclusivity and teaching. So hope you to check that out as well. Yeah, so Rita and I will be here for a few minutes, but we would really hope you can use the time to give us feedback, and also to use the time to self-reflect your takeaway and your questions.
Yeah, and from Natasha or Jason or Sarita, I don't know if there's any other things closing that need to be said before we disperse.
Well, there was a question that was asked about the remaining workshops. We do not have the dates yet. We know that it'll be early winter and then late winter, so that we'll actually get into the nitty-gritties of syllabus work in the other 2 workshops. But then we'll reach out with dates fairly soon. We'll do that. Thank you so much for being here today.
We also had a comment here. Some faculty wrote in, or staff, right? I'd appreciate having a small group of faculty member who I can continue working on this topic between the meetings. So maybe those faculty and staff who are interested, maybe they could let Jason or let Sharita or let Natasha know you're interested in dig deeper and maintain contact with each other without disclosing your information right now. Yeah, we want to say thank you for putting yourself out there for the last 90 minutes to share, to respond, to listen, active learning and listening. Thanks. Please finish the survey for us. We appreciate it. And happy Friday, happy weekend. Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much, Reed and Wei, too, for leading us. And everyone for attending.
Yes, thank you, Reed, and thank you, Wei. This was phenomenal for our first workshop, and then we'll certainly be building on the work that you've done today in the remaining 2 workshops. Thank you.